Just a second. Okay. Ooh. Uh-oh. So, back to what I was saying before. It's all about mastery. And when you are able to max your mastery, that opens up so many more possibilities to you. So, a lot of us know that many people who have gone to college, they have PhDs, they have masters, they have multiple masters, multiple PhDs, you name it. And these people are right now looking for a job. Some of them without a job for years. Many of them without a job for several months. Often they have to apply for more than 400 plus jobs in order to find one job that actually ends up being a pay cut to the job they had before. So there's so much going on. One of the things I believe is that entrepreneurship is like the final frontier for the way of work today. The world of work has changed so much, and it seems like it happened quickly. Like right before our eyes, all of this has changed. So you gotta stay up to date. You've got to stay motivated, encouraged. And one of the things I found that has helped me to make it through some difficult times is being able to tap into my mastery. So let's get into that for a moment. Mastery is being able to do something, I'd say physical or mental, being able to do something at a high level. And here's the twist that I add to it, while bringing your entire self to that process, while being your unique self. That's my idea of mastery. There's a better way for me to say it, but again, I'm a little bit frazzled right now with all of the hang on just a second. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, there's something special that happens when you as an individual show up as your full self without leaving some of you at home. You know what I mean? There's something really unique about you showing up as you, not trying to show up as somebody else. There's something special about that. There's something about when you do what you do and you know you're doing you and not trying to do or be somebody else. So let me give you an example of this. Oprah Winfrey, when she first got started, she is famous for saying, she talks about how she admired one of the newscasters on at that time. If I'm not mistaken, it was Barbara Walters. I could be wrong. You can fact check. You can Google that. You know, you can, my hair is messed up. You can, you can look it up. But she's famous for talking about how when she first started, she was trying to imitate Barbara Walters. Barbara Walters at the time was the hottest newscast woman on TV. And Oprah said she saw that. She wanted that same thing for herself. She had no other guidebook. She had no other example. And Barbara was her example. And she said she tried to be Barbara on camera. Now imagine that. We've all seen Oprah over 20 plus years on TV on her own Oprah Winfrey show. And we loved her for being herself. But can you imagine Oprah trying to mimic Barbara Walters? Think about that. So aren't you glad that she leaned into being her unique self? Was she the first black woman sports newscaster? No, she wasn't. She didn't have to be the first, but she was the first Oprah Winfrey to do it. That's the difference. She brought herself to the job. She brought herself to the assignment. She brought herself to the camera. She showed up as her full self. That is what makes the difference. And that is the idea of mastery that I'm talking about. Let's see. I know I'm using phrases here and all of that. Now, let me just say this. If you're not following me on LinkedIn, go ahead and follow me on LinkedIn. I'm building community on LinkedIn. I'm building community around this idea of mastery. And would love to have you as part of it if that's something that you believe in or would like to lean more into, find out more about. Please join me over there for that. You can see on the post that, I'm creating, you can see it in the comments. You can see people posting, me posting, and them posting. We're posting about each other. We're talking about each other in the comments. This is what building community looks like. I know that you've seen a lot of gurus on LinkedIn, and, they have a lot of reactions on their post. And initially, you might have thought that's what building community looks like. It is. However, there's another way to build community on LinkedIn. So I encourage you to get involved in my community. We show up and we support each other. You're going to see me saying thank you to people. I believe that in the world that we live in, we need to remain civil and have decency and have manners, even on social media. So I'd encourage you, don't let that hinder you from sticking around, because chances are you're going to see some value. You're going to see some value in the things that I post. Let me get a drink of water. Yeah, you're going to see hopefully some value in the things that I post, because that's my number one focus, to bring value and to give you something to think about. That's my goal, to give you something to really think about. Maybe it never crossed your mind before. I'm going to put that post or video out there, and the purpose is to give you something to think about. There are about 5 different topic areas that I want to dive into today related to this idea of mastery. So I want to say that I've been where a lot of you are. I've hired coaches, consultants, not really consultants, but coaches. There's a lot of coaches out there. Fewer, I think, consultants out there. A lot of coaches out there. And it didn't work out for me. Did I learn something from it? Yeah, I did my best to learn something from the experience. But what I'm saying to you is the thing that I paid for and showed up to get, I didn't get. I had to, a lot of times, remove myself from that environment because it just wasn't happening. And it was toxic. So the thing that I do, my goal is to bring you an environment where you can learn, grow, and transform. Transformation for me has to be part of that process. And someone almost sabotaged my business, and thank God I was able to avoid it. I was in this group session that I had paid for, and they were saying, oh, your first event, nobody's going to show up. I'm thinking, like, why are they talking like this? Like, I mean, I can understand you, trying to make sure that nobody's overconfident or something. But, like, why are you saying this as if it's the truth? Like, I'm like, what? And it was off-putting. It seemed negative, and for me, it wasn't realistic. It wasn't even my reality. Because what they didn't know is I already had my first event, with myself included. It was about 6 of us there. They didn't know that. They didn't even ask questions like, how many of you have had an event? How many people showed up? What did you do to, encourage people to come to the event? They didn't do any of that. They just made a blanket statement. Nobody's showing up at your first event. Like, just get ready for that. I'm like, what? So anyway, I just say that to let you know that I understand some of you have hired someone and it didn't work out. My goal is to be different. So that's my story about someone almost sabotaging my business. What I had to do was I had to choose me in that moment. I had to choose me. I had to remove myself from that environment, remove myself from that energy. And thank God I did. So when I moved on, things became clear again. Like, you know how the rain is there, and then after the rain, the sky clears up? That's what it was like for me in that moment. When I made that decision to exit from that program, like, the fog went away. Energy was back. Everything was like back to normal once I left that environment. So you have to choose you. You have to do what's best for you. You have to have some discernment in making the choices that are best for you. I want to ask you a question. Are you trying to replicate someone else's success without knowing their secret sauce? A lot of times what we do when we're doing something new for the very first time, what we'll do is we'll look at the industry, we'll take a look at what other people are doing, we'll notice how they show up, we'll notice color schemes and fonts and all of that stuff. We'll take note of that stuff, right? We'll drop into the posts that they create. We'll watch their videos. We'll maybe go binge on some of their YouTube stuff. And before we know it, without even knowing, we've actually started to allow their message to infiltrate us. And so I want to encourage you today that why not create your own secret sauce instead of trying to replicate someone else's? When you don't even know what their secret sauce is, you're really only guessing. Unless they told you, you're really only guessing. So I had a birthday, and the thing I did, I really had wanted to do this for a short while. I had the idea to do it. I wanted to go to a hot pot restaurant. So if you don't know, it's really I think it's a Korean style barbecue restaurant. I call it a hot pot restaurant for some reason. I wanted to go there, and so that's what I did my last birthday, and it was a lot of fun. It was a different dining experience. It was fun. It was entertaining. The food was great. The flavors were excellent. What's special about it is a few things special about the experience. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet, sort of, and you grab whatever you want, vegetables, meats, seafood, or whatever you want, and you have it on a tray. You're sitting at your table, and basically there's like a little fire pit built into the table or on top of the table, in the middle usually. And what you can do is you can roast your own vegetables or grill your own vegetables and meats. And the best part is there's a pot that they bring with broth in it. You can have vegetable broth, or, there are other types of broth you can have, bone broth and some other stuff. And the broth, oh my God, it is so delicious. And that's the fun part. It's like creating your own concoction and mixing everything together. And you know, having a bite of this, a bite of that. And you have all this, what's called umami. You have this umami going on. And umami it's about 6 different tastes. I can't name them all. But if you Google that or ask ChatGPT, they'll let you know umami. So you've got the sweet, the savory, the salty, and some other stuff. But it's about 6 of them altogether. And it is, I'm telling you, if you haven't tried it, you should go check it out. It's a lot of fun and it tastes really good. I loved it so much that I've been trying to recreate it at home ever since. So the other day, I had some shobu beef. I think it's SHOBU. Shobu beef that I got from Costco. It's supposed to be tender, but I have some, you know, teeth issues, and the more tender the meat, the better for me, if you know what I mean. So I had gone there to buy this beef, and it's thin sliced, like paper thin. It's supposed to be tender already. But when I tried it in the recipe, it wasn't as tender as I thought it was going to be. So I thought, well, let me try something else with this. No, I'm getting off subject. Let me get back to. So I've been trying to recreate. Yeah, this is the same subject. Yeah, I was trying to recreate this recipe. So the beef, what I ended up doing is I saw a short video on YouTube of this guy doing this beef. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try that. So it put me in the mindset of like, this would be the same beef that I could use if I made beef and broccoli. So that was the same idea. And I got to tell you, I watched what he did in this like less than 60-second video. And I tried recreating that. And it did not work out right. It did not go well at all. Like, I cooked it, and then when I tasted a bite, I felt like I was going to throw up. So there's something that he did, and I must not have had the right step, because it did not taste good at all. Matter of fact, unfortunately, I had to throw away some steak. So I wasn't happy about that. But this is my whole point about why try to replicate somebody else's secret sauce when you don't even know their recipe. You're not going to get the same result. And if they had 100% success doing what they did, you're not going to have 100% success by trying to figure it out. You'll be lucky if you had 40% success rate. Well, in my example, that was total failure with steak that I had to throw away. And it wasn't cheap. So why not figure out your own secret sauce based on your mastery, based on what you bring to the table, and create your own step-by-step process? That's what I encourage you to do. This is what I hope people do. And one of my connections on LinkedIn, I mentioned her in one of my posts. Avril Ann is her name. And I mentioned her in my post because she commented and she made a very excellent and valid point. She talked about how developing your own secret sauce gives you a strategic advantage. And it's true. This is why I do the work I do, to help you have a strategic advantage. I wish I had her message with me, but I'm not going to try anything fancy with this technology. I've got 2 devices going. I've got my laptop and my cell phone both going. And I'm not going to try to read her message. But if you go on LinkedIn on my post, you'll see the headline that says, "Are you trying to replicate someone's success without knowing their secret sauce?" And that's the one where she made the comment. So I encourage you to go over there and check that out. time is it? Oh, it's almost, I'm going to have to wrap this up. I've got another meeting coming up. The next thing I want to talk about, though, is this. I want to ask you a question. Are you ready to stop missing out on getting paid for the outcome you provide? Are you getting paid for the work, or are you getting paid for the outcome you provide? Think about that. There's a big difference. There's a big difference in getting paid for the work versus the outcome. Let me have a drink of water. Now, if you're getting paid for the work, you're more than likely getting paid hourly. There needs to be a paradigm shift so that you can start getting paid for the value. That is the outcome that you provide. People who get paid for the outcome get paid more. And if you don't already know it, my goal is to help you work less, get paid more. You see how that works? So, work less, get paid more. Your mastery plus a premium offer plus productivity empowers you to work less, get paid more. Excuse me. This is what needs to happen in order for you to navigate the days and the times that we're living in. We're living in a lot of uncertain times right now. Technology is changing by the hour. The workforce is changing month to month, day to day. AI is advancing, I believe, a lot faster than people thought it would. So, how do you exist in an environment like that? And most importantly, though, not just how you exist, but how do you thrive, right? How do you thrive in an environment like that? That's the goal. The goal is not just to exist or to survive. The goal is to thrive. How do you do that? You do that by maxing your mastery. You do that by tapping into your mastery in several different lanes at the same time. Let's get the compound effect going for you. You're probably saying by now, where did I come from? Like, what gives me the audacity to talk about this? Well, let me mention it right now. I didn't just haphazardly fall into business consulting. I wasn't Tony Robbins or some of these other people. They were dead broke and they didn't know what else to do, and then they decided, I'm going to try coaching or whatever. That was not the case for me. So my foray into business consulting was a lot different than some of the gurus you see. I felt like it was a call for me to do that. I felt like there was a calling on me to do that, to make that move. So more than 25 years prior to becoming a business consultant, I single-handedly solved a $370 million problem for L'Oreal Soft Sheen. L'Oreal was making a bid to buy out Soft Sheen, and there was a major problem with an IBM database, an IBM proprietary database. IBM made this database, a problem came up, and then IBM couldn't solve it. So Soft Sheen went on a talent search. I came up as a result of that talent search, and I got hired to solve that problem. And why do I say it was a $370 million plus problem? Because fast forward around the time of the pandemic is when I did some research to find out, oh, L'Oreal bought Soft Sheen. According to Crane's Chicago Business, L'Oreal bought Soft Sheen for an estimated $370 million. And if you watch Shark Tank, I'm a fan. If you watch it too, like I do, you should know by now that valuation of a business is key. Those sharks will not make a move unless they get an idea of the valuation of that business. And FYI, they go behind the scenes to find out if that valuation presented was accurate. So the deal isn't just made on TV. They actually have protocols they follow behind the scenes. And one of the things they look at is the orders, the database, the orders, the amount of product they have, the amount of production through the factory, what the output is, what the cost of that is to produce. They look at all of that. They look at the orders on the books. They look at the backlog of orders. They look at all of that. And that's how they determine the estimated value of a business. But Crane in the article went on to say that at the time, $370 million was only considered about 1/4 of the actual value of Soft Sheen. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is that had I not come along and solved that problem, there would have been no purchase or acquisition of Soft Sheen by L'Oreal. And if you didn't know, L'Oreal is a global 500 company, not a Fortune 500 company. They are a global 500 company. They're within the 500 top companies in the entire world. I was the one who helped to make that transaction possible. If that problem hadn't been solved, I wouldn't be saying this. We wouldn't have the history that was created. So it's important for you to understand whether you're getting paid for the work you do or for the outcome. So here's the crazy thing. When I did that work, I was a salaried employee, which is almost the same as getting paid hourly. But I was not one of those IBM white shirt consultants that walked around the building, probably getting paid 6 figures. I wasn't one of them. I didn't even know at the time my value. A lot of times we need someone else from the outside with an outside perspective to help to show us our value. I had no experience with business consulting. That wasn't my job title. My job title at that time, was database administrator. So I'm saying all of this to let you know that it's quite possible that where you are right now, the position that you're in, the stage of life that you're in, that you have no idea of the value that you might be sitting on because you have not fully tapped into your mastery. That's what I want to say to you. And my role is to help you understand your value, to take a deeper look at your value, your mastery, and to discover there's so much more than what you have seen. You have barely scratched the surface. You've barely scratched the surface. You've been in one lane, and that's all you know. You've done that job or that role for 10, 20, 15 years. There are so many other things, so many other possibilities that open up to you when you discover your mastery. Here's the thing about mastery that's unique. One mastery leads to another mastery, leads to another mastery. It's like peeling the layers of an onion. You're probably familiar with Leonardo da Vinci, right? He was able to have mastery in several areas. I think there's at least 12 or 13 different fields that he has mastery in. And the word that describes someone who has all of this mastery in different areas is polymath. Polymath, polymath. I believe in our world today, the modern day polymath oftentimes is the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur who has had to master copywriting, business analysis, marketing, you name it. It goes on and on. I believe that our world today, entrepreneurship is the final frontier for the way we work. I would love to go on. I'm going to have to end it there because I have to get ready for a meeting. But I want to leave you with this one thought. Don't try to scale your business. Scale your mastery. Don't scale your business. Scale your mastery. Scale your mastery. That's what you need to scale. If you want to work less and get paid more, you need to scale your mastery. If you want to have more time freedom, avoid burnout, you need to scale your mastery, not your business. It's time for a paradigm shift. It's time for a shift in your perspective about how you can move forward in today's economy. Scale your mastery, not your business. That's my message to you today. I will be going live again on the 15th at 9:02 is what YouTube told me. I could press the button at 9:02 a.m. and go live. I hope you'll join me there. See you next time. And until then, your mastery plus a premium offer plus productivity empowers you to max your mastery and enjoy more time freedom.